Testing. There we go. Alright. This is H0bgawblin from WCR Replays. I'm doing a member audio for a couple of reasons. One, just been sort of out and about. You know, I'm on vacation with like a lot of people. I've been on vacation for like a month, and this vacation is way too long. So my ass is bored. And, you know, I just wanted to be a nerd for like 2 days and not have to deal with massive phone calls. I don't know if you can hear the phone going off. I don't know, like, I'm sort of an introvert, so, like, massive phone calls to me means, like, totally different. Like, you know, like 5 phone calls a day is a lot for me. And I know, like, a lot of people have to deal with more, and maybe I'm being emo, but it pisses me off. Shut up! Phone. Anyway, let's put on some strokes. So this game is Shriek versus Max Sed. I think that's how you pronounce it. While we're getting to the 2-minute mark, actually, I gotta tell you, I am the bass player in a band. We're doing cover of the Strokes. I actually didn't know they existed before, like, I joined the band, and they're like... Because I was kind of desperate to join a band. I had been playing by myself for a couple of years now, and I was like, I just need to play with other people, get some experience, all that jazz, so... I didn't care what type of music they played, because I'm, you know, I'm pretty flexible. I'm not a very opinionated guy when it comes to music. Most musicians are, especially bass. Bass players tend to be extremely opinionated. And I found that the more opinions you have, the more limited you are. So I try, it's a very conscious effort to not be opinionated. But anyway, let's talk some Warcraft. I'm going to just kick this up to the 2-minute mark, and we're going to pause it there. Alright, let's turn the music off. Now, the way I'm going to do this replay, and the audio commentary in general, is I'm going to go from like a very analytical point of view, and I'm going to go by play-by-play. The reason I chose this replay is it's a Shriek game, and I always kind of root for Shriek because he's one of the very few, like, you know, he doesn't consider himself like a professional player. I guess I wouldn't either. You know, he's a guy who sort of is really good at the game but doesn't practice a super amount. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he's good. You know, in my opinion, for my scale of good players, I think Shriek's a very good human player, and it's really nice of him that he's part of the Warcraft community. And so, like, you know, there are a lot of good players like Joseki. You know what I mean? But Joseki is not that active in the community as he once was, and like Shriek has just been in the community for a long time and has been extremely helpful. And I'm not knocking Joseki for like not being in the community as much as Shriek or anything like that, you know, to each his own. And from what I understand, Shriek was getting internet famous, and that's always a bitch. Anyway, so we're gonna unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. I'm gonna have we're gonna go to 2x speed, and I will pause it and have this and all that jazz, but for now 1x. Okay, so what happens in this game, I'll just tell you straight up. It becomes an MK versus Panda, and there's been a lot of talking on my part in the human forums about MK versus Panda. Tier 2, and a lot of people go like, well, why isn't MK stronger? Because, you know, he bitch slaps people at Tier 2. You know, and like you see pros sometimes, like this game, like, you know, Shriek opts for an MK. You know, Warcraft is a general safe play, but here in this game, Shriek gets spanked in Tier 1, and he takes a risk. You know, what happens is that he's getting spanked in Tier 1, and he's gonna lose the Tier 2 game. So he opts for the safe choice at the time, like it's very momentary situational choice. He goes for the Panda. The reason being is because he needs to stop the assault on his base, and the Panda would shut that down. You know, of course, you know, if he didn't do that, he would have lost right then and there, and, you know, he just extended the game. And it's kind of like he won because he did the right choices, and his opponent did the wrong choices. So basically what I'm going to use this game for. And by the way, just to point out, they're going through a very standard creeping pattern on Terran stand for human mirror. What essentially you do is you do the Merc camp for the Dispel and the Merc focus fire and all that jazz. It's a late tech. The reason being is because you can totally like monstrously rig foots with level 3 Archmage plus excuse me, the Troll Berserkers and the Priest Dispel. It's pretty nasty, and it's totally worth delaying your tier 1 or tier 2 tech for. Anyway, moving on. Shriek's opponent here, Max said, goes for the Pandarian second, tries to push Shriek in his base, and what essentially happens, Max said, did not think straight. You know, he plays it right. He gets an expansion up. You know, I constantly talk about the instant buy of the Pandas, like it's a super advantage. The other super advantage, though, that he gets is that he just did so much damage to Shriek that he has this room to get an expansion. Like, even though he was at his base with the Panda, he did so much damage to Shriek that Shriek could not go on the offensive. Shriek ends up going on the offensive anyway because he has to. You know, you just can't let the Panda get level 3 and expand everywhere. Like, you know, if you go MK second, you need to do damage. You know, it absolutely needs to be done. So, I don't know. It's interesting how it plays out, and I guess it would be more beneficial if I just spoke about it while it was happening. But I need to point this out for the reason that I'm trying to go into the choice that Shriek. I ordinarily the MK is not a good choice, and Shriek totally plays the underdog here and pulls it through. But he made in this situation, this specific situation, he made a good call because he would lose the game otherwise, and that's essentially what I'm trying to say. Like, he runs into all these problems because he has MK and all this nonsense. But you know, whatever. Anyway. Let's go to some general micro for the human mirror. Right now, what Shriek is doing is again, very risky. Here, this is not safe play, but he's at a disadvantage. He cannot play safely. He needs to take some risk. And what I'm saying about risky is that you notice that Max had 2 watermelons up that entire time, and Shriek only 1. Not safe play at all. It was by sheer micro. You know, I think Max said like lost that Zerker and like some other stuff. You know, this is just good micro, good positioning by Shriek that allows him to fight Max said 2 water elementals to 1 or 2 water elementals to none. You know, he's gotten some kills on Max said.
A player's forces are under attack.
And they're very, you know, that was just, you know, Max said's bad kind of thing. It's a mistake, and it was good play by Shriek, bad play by Max said. Anyway, Max said, you know, I think